Michael Moore says Trump will win in 2020 because his support in Midwestern battlegrounds has not dropped 1 inch, and his followers are even more rabid. Filmmaker Michael Moore predicted Trump will win the 2020 election. He claims Trump's support in the Midwestern states hasn't dropped 1 inch. Moore also claimed that Trump would most likely lose the popular vote in a similar situation to the 2016 election. For Democrats to win, Moore maintains that they need to excite their base like they did with the 2008 election with Barack Obama. Trump was impeached on December 18 with 2 articles by the House. The president reportedly believes the impeachment could bolster his support ahead of the 2020 election by Lauren Edmonds for DailyMail.com, published 3:14 GMT, the 28th of December 2019, updated 14:04 Greenwich Mean Time, the 28th of December 2019. Filmmaker Michael Moore said that President Donald Trump had a strong chance at winning the 2020 election, claiming that his support in Midwestern battleground states hasn't dropped 1 inch. He added that if the presidential election were today, Trump would most likely win enough electoral college votes to clinch victory. If the vote were today, I believe he would win the electoral states that he would need, because, living out there, I will tell you, his level of support has not gone down 1 inch, he said in an interview with Democracy Now! In fact, I'd say it's even more rabid than it was before, because they're afraid now. They're afraid he could lose because they watched his behavior. So they're voracious in their appetite for Donald Trump. That's the bad news. However, Moore contended that Trump would probably lose the popular vote in a similar manner to 2016 and by an increased margin next year. Michael Moore said President Donald Trump could win the 2020 election because his support in key Midwestern states hasn't dropped 1 inch. He said, Hillary won by 3 million popular votes. I believe whoever the Democrat is next year is going to win by 4 to 5 million popular votes. There's no question in my mind that people who stayed home, who sat on the bench, they're going to pour out. There's going to be a much higher percentage of people voting against him, but to do that, Democrats need to revitalize and excite their base. We will win when we put somebody on that ballot that excites the base, women, people of color, young people, Moore said. Moore, left, also said the Democratic Party needs to excite their base in much the same way the former President Barack Obama revitalized voters, when they wake up that morning and they feel the way that many of us, many of you watching, felt the morning that you were going to, in 2008, and you are going to get to go and vote for Barack Obama. Moore also addressed Hillary Clinton's presidential lose, saying that women, people of color, young people, were put off by the nominee. She only lost Michigan by 11,000 votes. 90,000 wanted to send a message to the Democratic Party: you forgot us a long time ago out here and we will not put up with this anymore. We're not going to vote for Trump, but we're not going to tolerate you sending us another Republican-like Democrat. He continued to say that the Democratic Party did not stand up for what young voters wanted and subsequently lost the support. What happened is that the Democratic Party didn't stand up in a way that they should have for what the youth wanted, for what people of color needed. In a recent interview with Rolling Stone, Moore said that white people who voted for Trump are not good people, and we should even be afraid of them. 2/3 of all white guys voted for Trump. That means anytime you see 3 white guys walking at you, down the street toward you, 2 of them voted for Trump. He said, you need to move over to the other sidewalk because these are not good people that are walking toward you. You should be afraid of them. More. In fact, I'd say it's even more rabid than it was before, because they're afraid now. They're afraid he could lose because they watched his behavior. So they're voracious in their appetite for Donald Trump. That's the bad news. Trump took a political hit when he was impeached on December 18 with 2 articles, abuse of power and obstruction of Congress. Trump has repeatedly condemned the impeachment inquiry and reportedly told confidants that even if he is acquitted, it will stain his legacy. In the same vein, Trump believes that impeachment could bolster his political hold during re-election, citing campaign data that his numbers have increased in battleground states since the process began. While it was previously predicted that Trump would be impeached, it still fired up Republicans and conservative politicians politicians who blasted Democrats for leading partisan bias charges. Trump pictured was impeached over 2 articles on December 18 during a vote by the House after he directed a searing letter at Nancy Pelosi. Trump wrote a letter to Nancy Pelosi, Center, before the House impeachment vote, saying she suffered from Trump derangement syndrome. Trump even slammed Speaker of the House Nancy Pelosi with a blistering letter where he claimed she views democracy as her enemy. Everyone, you included, knows what is really happening. Your chosen candidate lost the election in 2016, in an electoral college landslide, 306 to 227, and you and your party have never recovered from this defeat. You have developed a full-fledged case of what many in the media call Trump derangement syndrome, and sadly, you will never get over it. He wrote, perhaps most insulting of all is your false display of solemnity. You apparently have so little respect for the American people that you expect them to believe that you are approaching this impeachment somberly, reservedly, and reluctantly. No intelligent person believes what you are saying. You are making a mockery of impeachment, and you are scarcely concealing your hatred of me, of the Republican Party, and tens of millions of patriotic Americans. He continued, the impeachment saga began when the whistleblower revealed that Trump was allegedly withholding military aid money from Ukraine, a United States ally, in exchange for an investigation into former Vice President Joe Biden. Biden's current position as a presidential nominee has placed him as a direct political foe in the upcoming 2020 election. Trump then accused Biden of using his political influence to have a Ukrainian prosecutor fired because the prosecutor was probing into his son, Hunter Biden's energy company. Hunter was previously on the board of a Ukrainian energy company while his father was vice president. Trump is scheduled to hold his first 2020 Keep America Great campaign rally in Toledo, Ohio, on January 9. In the 2016 election, Trump won Ohio by 8 percentage points over Hillary Clinton. When the rally was initially announced, the Trump campaign highlighted his record on job creation. Ohio is booming thanks to President Trump, and jobs are coming back to the state. Since President Trump's election, Ohio has added 94,700 new jobs, including 14,700 manufacturing jobs, said Michael Glassner, Trump's campaign chief operating office, to The Hill. Before the rally, Trump was expected to launch the Evangelicals for Trump coalition during an event in Miami, Florida, on January 3. Trump's bid for evangelicals comes off the heels of another apparent setback where a major evangelical Christian magazine has called for Donald Trump's removal from office, saying the president has dumbed down the idea of morality. Editor-in-chief Mark Galli of Christianity Today aims his letter to those evangelical Christians who continue to support Trump in spite of his blackened moral record. Mark Galli, President Trump has abused his authority for personal gain and betrayed his constitutional oath. The impeachment hearings have illuminated the president's moral deficiencies for all to see. Galli acknowledges that Democrats appear to have led a years-long crusade against Trump since the 2016 election, but he then implores readers to look at the facts laid bare in front of them. He wrote, the facts in this instance are unambiguous. The President of the United States attempted to use his political power to coerce a foreign leader to harass and discredit one of the president's political opponents. That is not only a violation of the Constitution, more importantly, it is profoundly immoral. He continued, we believe the impeachment hearings have made it absolutely clear, in a way the Mueller investigation did not, that President Trump has abused his authority for personal gain and betrayed his constitutional oath. The impeachment hearings have illuminated the president's moral deficiencies for all to see, Mark Galli, pictured, wrote an editorial in Christianity Today that called for Trump's removal from office based on the finding of the impeachment inquiry. He then claims that many aren't horrified by Trump's actions or because he has receded the notion of morality in his administration. He has hired and fired a number of people who are now convicted criminals. He himself has admitted to immoral actions in business and his relationship with women, about which he remains proud. Remember who you are and whom you serve. Consider how your justification of Mr. Trump influences your witness to your Lord and Savior, Galli implores. Pictured, Christianity Today magazine cover for the December 2019 issue. To use an old cliché, it's time to call a spade, to say that no matter how many hands we win in this political poker game, we are playing with a stacked deck of gross immorality and ethical incompetence, he continues, and just when we think it's time to push all our chips to the center of the table, that's when the whole game will come crashing down. This pushback by Christianity Today is one of the most public condemnations of Trump by the evangelical media since they have continued to support him since his presidential campaign. Even with Trump's stronghold on evangelical Christians, his presidency has caused a division among some worshippers. Many have praised Trump for his Supreme Court justice choices in hopes that they will make anti-abortion rulings among other, more conservative policy choices. Others are admonished his comments and his behavior in much the same way that Galley has. Still, a survey conducted by the Pew Research Center that found 77% of white evangelical Protestants approved of the president's job performance. Read more. Let's block ads. Why?